This page is the front cover of a magazine showcasing Mario Golf 64 as the main title. The cover also highlights other games including Ogre Battle 3, Pokemon Stadium 2, GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 6, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Narrated Go 64, Kyojin no Doshin 1, J-League Perfect Striker 2, and Biohazard 2, which is known as Resident Evil 2 internationally. There's a news section announcing new hardware from Nintendo and Matsushita Electric, and a Pokestan 2 Teleka campaign. The magazine issue is dated July 1999 and includes special bonus stickers featuring Kirby and Mario Golf. This page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game One Guy Monsters, a monster-raising simulation game. The game is slated for release on April 9th and priced at 6,980 yen. The ad highlights that there are 500 types of monsters in the game and asks, "Can you raise monsters?" There's also a campaign running from April 9th to May 31st, where buying the game enters you into a lottery to win prizes like a Game Boy Color, Pokemon Gold/Silver game cartridges, and original One Guy Monster stickers. The ad is by the company Bottom Up. One Guy Monsters was released only in Japan. This page is an advertisement for a 64Dream original Pokemon 2 Teleka, a telephone card featuring Pokemon characters. It is a special offer for readers, inviting everyone to apply and get this original Pokemon Teleka, related to Pokemon Stadium 2. The application deadline is June 21st. To apply, readers need to prepare 800 yen worth of unused stamps, cut out the application form below, and fill in their address, name, and phone number with a black or blue ballpoint pen. They should then enclose the application form and the stamps in an envelope with an 80 yen stamp and send it to the provided address. The ad also mentions that this campaign is a continuation from a previously popular Zelda Teleka offer featured on a prior magazine cover. This page is the contents page of the magazine and game index. It lists the main features of the magazine, including articles on the strongest software support for the N64, an invitation feature covering Camelot and Taito, and news about Nintendo and Matsushita collaborating on next-generation consoles. The contents also highlight upcoming game information, such as Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, Kyojin no Doshin 1, Doshin the Giant, Ogre Battle 3, Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, GameCube Perfect Striker 2, International Superstar Soccer 98, Mario Golf 64, Mario Golf, Bomberman 64 2, Bomberman Hero, Narrated Go 64, Railfan, Shinseki Evangelion, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and Fire Emblem Thracia 776. Screenshots. Screenshots are shown for Biohazard 2, Doshin the Giant, and Bomberman Hero. The game index on the right-hand side provides an alphabetical list of games covered in this issue with page numbers for quick reference. Games listed include titles like International Rally, Championship 64, Wizardry I-22I, NBA in the Zone 2, Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, Cardcaptor Sakura, Kirby no Kira Kira Kiss, GameCube GI Stable, GameCube J-League Perfect Striker 2, Shadowgate 64, Zool, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, Mario Golf 64, Last Legion UX, and Lode Runner 3D, among many others. June promises a strong month for the N64, 3 years after its launch, with healthy sales and no software shortages. The main news is the official announcement of Resident Evil 2, Biohazard 2, for the console, promising graphical enhancements over the PlayStation version. A new Gemsy software brand targeting adults is also introduced, potentially hinting at mature titles. E3 announcements are expected from Japan, possibly including games utilizing the GoldenEye system and a Jet Force Gemini Mini. The calendar details releases across Nintendo platforms. Specifically for the N64, NBA in the Zone 2 releases on June 3rd, followed by ZOUL Spellbinder and Mario Golf 64 on June 11th, and Shinseki Evangelion on June 25th. The Coming Soon section confirms these and previews the Super Famicom's Last Legion UX release on May 28th. This page showcases 2 Nintendo 64 game rankings. The first ranking is the Reader's Choice Anticipated New Titles Top 20, featuring games readers are looking forward to. Number 1 in this ranking is Mother 3, Earthbound 64, followed by Pokemon Stadium 2, and in third place is Ogre Battle 3, Lordly Caliber. Other games in the top 10 include Super Mario RPG 2, Super Mario 642, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Fire Emblem 64, Mario Golf 64, and Ultra Donkey Kong. The second ranking is this month's HitWords Top 10, which is a top 10 chart of currently selling N64 games. Pokemon Stadium 2 is number 1 in this chart, followed by Pokemon Snap, then Super Smash Bros., GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 6, Power Pro Baseball 6, Mario Party, GQ GI Stable, Pikachu Genki Daichu, Hey You Pikachu, Life Game 64, Mario Kart 64, and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. The page also includes screenshots from some of the games mentioned, like Earthbound 64, Pokemon Stadium, and Ogre Battle. There are also small text sections discussing the popularity of Pokemon Stadium 2 and Earthbound 64. This page features two main rankings based on reader surveys. The first ranking is the Popular Game Character Top 50. The top 10 characters are listed as Link, Mario, Pikachu, Kirby, Power Procon, Luigi, Ness, Yoshi, Fox McCloud, and Mr. Saturn. It highlights that this is based on a reader survey asking about their favorite game characters. The second ranking focuses on Game Boy main body / model / color ownership. This lists the most popular Game Boy models and colors owned by readers. The top 10 are Original Game Boy, Gray, Super Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Clear, Game Boy Pocket, Yellow, Game Boy Pocket, Black, Game Boy Color, Clear, Game Boy Color, Blue, Game Boy Color, Green, Game Boy Pocket, Purple, and Game Boy Pocket, Gray. The pie chart visually represents the percentage of readers owning different numbers of Game Boy units. Finally, there's a GB Software selling top 10 chart showing the top-selling Game Boy games based on Oricon data. The top games listed are Pokemon Pinball, Power Pro Pocket, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Duel Monsters, Dragon Quest Monsters, Pocket Monsters, Pikachu, Beat Mania GB, Hamster Paradise, Goddess Reincarnation Gaiden, Last Bible 2, and The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening DX. A small screenshot at the bottom appears to show a character selection screen from a fighting game, featuring many Nintendo characters popular on the N64, like Luigi, Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Captain Falcon, Ness, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, Pikachu, and Jigglypuff. The next page is an advert for Biohazard 2, which is known internationally as Resident Evil 2, coming to the N64. The page proclaims that the survival horror that shook the world is coming to the N64. It mentions the game was a mega hit, selling over 5 million copies worldwide, and this version is a complete port, bringing the horror of being attacked by zombies and the deep storyline to the N64. Screenshots show in-game action, with zombies and characters from the game, and on the right side, information boxes detail it as Biohazard 2, provisional title, developed by Capcom, with the release date still undecided. The genre is survival horror, it's for one player, and it will support the Rumble Pack. The N64 version of Resident Evil 2 is a complete port of the PlayStation original, even including additional content. Despite the N64's cartridge format, the game, originally on 2 CDs, was successfully adapted. The article highlights the zapping system, where playing as either Leon or Claire affects the other's scenario, front and back. Choices, item pickups, and enemy encounters in one storyline influence the other. The text uses the example of Marvin Branagh, a fellow police officer, to demonstrate how the zapping system changes encounters based on which character's scenario is played. Leon S. Kennedy, a rookie police officer with a strong sense of justice, is also introduced. He arrives late for his first day and is immediately thrust into the events of Resident Evil 2. This page is about Biohazard 2, known internationally as Resident Evil 2, which was released on the Nintendo 64. The page highlights the game's story setting in Raccoon City after a series of bizarre murders in July 1998. The story talks about how Raccoon City has become overrun by zombies, and two main characters arrive unaware of the horror. Screenshots show in-game scenes, including encounters with zombies, suggesting you can either fight or run. The page mentions that when you reach the city, most citizens are already zombies, and Leon escapes to the gun shop. It also points out a scenario where you meet a normal person, then get attacked by zombies. There's a section showing the player can get a bowgun with a yes-no prompt. It's mentioned that in the police station, even the officers have become zombies. And surprisingly, they don't seem to use weapons. A question is raised about the blue blood in the N64 version, stating it's a setting-specific change. The character featured is Claire Redfield, described as a bright and cheerful college girl and a biker. She is also related to Chris from STARS and is investigating his disappearance, linked to the Raccoon City incident, venturing into the city alone. This page is about Biohazard 2, also known as Resident Evil 2 internationally. It focuses on the terrifying nature of survival horror, introducing zombie enemies that are virus-infected humans, and Cerberus enemies, virus-infected zombie dogs, known for their muscular build and swift attacks. The page also highlights lickers, mutated zombie creatures with developed muscles, leaping ability, and high attack power. Screenshots show in-game actions like picking up handgun bullets and green herbs for health recovery, and using key items to unlock doors. The text describes the game as being on 2 CD-ROMs and having significant CG movie scenes, emphasizing the polygon character rendering and detailed visual presentation, particularly for CG movie sequences. It mentions a scene where Leon discovers blood dripping and looks up to see a licker on the ceiling, suggesting it's a CG movie sequence. Another screenshot depicts the encounter with licker, emphasizing the potential for instant death in battle if unlucky. This page is a preview of Kyojin no Doshin 1, Doshin the Giant, for the 64DD. The article announces it as the first unveiling of the game, and asks, simultaneous release expected? Software? The article highlights that development is underway by the Parlum project team. It notes that while the hardware, 64DD, is still in development, the game itself is already playable. The game is described as a god simulation game, where you play as Doshin, a giant on an island called Baruto Island. Gameplay details mention that during the day people build houses and cultivate fields, creating civilizations. You can influence the islanders and the environment, with screenshots showing different perspectives of the island and mentions of weather effects like wind and rain. The article also includes comments from the development staff expressing frustration that they can't announce a release date yet due to the 64DD hardware status. They are eager to release Doshin the Giant 1 and have shared screenshots to tide fans over. Game information listed includes title, Giant Doshin 1, Ichi. Developer, undecided. Publisher, undecided. Price, undecided. Capacity, undecided. Genre, god simulation game, tropical island style. Players, 12 players. Remarks, 64DD dedicated software. This page focuses on the Nintendo 64 game Doshin the Giant, a unique title where you play as a massive yellow giant. The article describes the core gameplay, emphasizing how the giant's size and power are tied to the emotions of the tiny islanders. You can choose to be a benevolent giant, helping them build and live peacefully, or a destructive force of nature. Your actions and how the humans react to you influence the giant's growth and size, making for dynamic gameplay. The page also teases black and white versions as potential expansions or sequels utilizing the 64DD's disc writing capabilities. It suggests different versions could offer distinct experiences, although specifics are vague. Furthermore, there's a promotional campaign called Letter from Giant Island, associated with Doshin the Giant 1. It seems to involve collecting postcards included in the magazine, possibly revealing more story details and secrets about the game world created by Kazutoshi Ida. The campaign is stated to be ongoing for 6 months, hinting at collectible elements and special rewards. The screenshots showcase the giant in various in-game scenarios, highlighting its colossal scale compared to the islanders and their settlements. The overall tone suggests excitement for the game's unique premise and emergent gameplay possibilities stemming from player choices. This page is about the N64 game Star Wars Episode 1, Racer. It's previewing the game, which is based on the pod racing scene from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace movie, anticipated to be released in Japan this summer. The page describes the game as a pod racer game, where you race on various planets, highlighting that the pod racers are designed with 2 engines connected to a cockpit with cables, like horse-drawn carriages of the past. The screenshots showcase the gameplay, showing in-game racing action, lap times, positions, and speed. One screenshot is described as being on a racetrack-like course, while another asks, Which one is ahead? The page also mentions you can customize your machine and the engines are in the front. The game is listed as a racing genre for 1 to 2 players and is published by Nintendo, with release date and price to be determined. The title is listed as Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, tentative title. This page is focused on the N64 game Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. It highlights the game's exciting sense of speed and the variety of courses available, stating that they are not simple and will take about 4 minutes per lap. The courses feature diverse environments like ice planets, water planets, and the familiar sandy deserts of Tatooine, which are also seen in the movie. The page mentions races will take place on Tatooine as well. There are screenshots showcasing the gameplay with in-game HUD elements like lap count, time, position, and speed displayed. One screenshot shows a racer navigating a futuristic, building-like structure, while another depicts racers in a desert environment. The bottom section shifts focus to the movie Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, explaining it's set before the original trilogy, focusing on young Anakin Skywalker and how he becomes Darth Vader. It mentions Obi-Wan Kenobi's younger self and suggests watching the movie to understand their story. It also points out characters like Jar Jar appearing in the game and the movie. There is a mention of pod racers, also featuring prominently in the game, mirroring their importance in the film. Finally, there's a release date announcement stating that Star Wars Episode 1 will be released from July 10th. The next page is a preview for Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, a simulation RPG for the N64. The protagonist, Magnus, a childhood friend of Yumil, is introduced. He enters a military academy and is assigned to the southern division of the Palatinus Kingdom as an officer candidate. The story is set in the prologue chapter 2, and this article focuses on the envoy from Zenobia section of the game. The preview describes the story where Magnus, as part of his training, is tasked with suppressing mountain bandits and magical beasts. He encounters anti-government rebels led by Yumil, who are trying to attack Prince Yumil. Magnus thwarts their plot and rescues the prince. However, he and Yumil become caught up in a larger rebellion. The article highlights the legendary Ogre Battle and how encounters and destiny unfold. It introduces Destin Ferota, a 27-year-old hero of the continent and a noble from Palatinus, described as a renowned lord. The screenshots show in-game scenes and dialogues, including characters like a mysterious girl, Central Knight Zyril, and Sorceress Saladin. The game information box indicates it is being developed by Quest, published by Nintendo, and is planned for a July release. It's a 320M capacity game, and for 1 player with a backup cartridge. This page showcases character profiles from the Ogre Battle series. We see introductions for 4 characters. The 19-year-old priestess, Aisha Knoodle, who is skilled in healing and joined the rebellion after her mother was killed by the Empire. The 52-year-old beast tamer Gilbald Obrian, a former commander known for his ability to communicate with magical creatures who once bore false accusations to protect his people. The 32-year-old swordsman Guas Debonair, a former general of the Empire's 4 heavenly kings, now fighting alongside the rebellion and seeing Destin as a comrade. And finally, the 61-year-old Goetic Saladin Kham, a powerful magic user and former student of Rishi's characters are likely being highlighted in relation to the Ogre Battle series. This page introduces the Elm Pedora, a game mechanic in Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, which is referred to as the crystallized power to summon spirits. The page details 6 types of elemental spirits: wind, water, fire, earth, divine, and darkness. For wind, the spirit is Thunderbird, summoned during battle from the wind to inflict significant damage on enemies. Water summons Fenrir, described as a wolf-like water spirit, also delivering damage in combat, specifically damage that regular attacks cannot inflict. Fire summons Salamander, the fire spirit, appearing with a blazing effect and damaging foes. Earth summons Norm, a golem-like earth spirit that robustly supports allies in battle. The page highlights that at the game's start, the Divine and Darkness Pedora spirits, Ignis Fatuus and Dark Loa respectively, are not selectable, raising the question of when these powerful entities become available during gameplay. The screenshots illustrate the spirit summoning sequences and their effects in typical battlefield scenarios within Ogre Battle 64. The text notes that using Pedora requires a charge time of several in-game days after each use, emphasizing strategic deployment. The next page discusses liberation and control of strongholds in the field in what appears to be a strategy RPG, likely related to the Ogre Battle series. It details game mechanics such as capturing and controlling strongholds on the field map, which are important strategic points. The page explains how liberating or controlling strongholds can affect the game, mentioning concepts like morale and alignment, and how these are influenced by unit types and actions. It also introduces a character named Troa, a 16-year-old Phalanx class unit, who seems to be a recruitable comrade. The page highlights that while units of law alignment were welcomed in Legendary Ogre Battle, this may not always be the case in this game, implying a shift in gameplay mechanics. It briefly touches upon how alignment shifts during battles, and how it's displayed for characters. The next page is all about strategy tips for unit formation in Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber. It explains that to clear field maps you need to control enemy bases, but warns against rushing into boss battles with weakened units. The page emphasizes forming legions, which are groups of units, and adjusting their composition to suit the battle situation. It mentions that moving legions takes longer than moving individual units, suggesting separate unit movement for quick operations might be better in some cases. The article also covers fatigue, explaining it accumulates during movement and battles, and can be recovered by resting at strongholds or camps. It details that legions are made up of a leader unit called the Legion Corps and soldier units, with a maximum of 5 units per legion. The more units in a legion, the lower its movement speed. But larger legions are better at sieges and combat. The advice given is that for beginners, a legion size of around 3 units is recommended for easier handling. The next page is about the Dragon Lineage character evolution system, likely from the game Quest 64, known in Japan as Holy Magic Story. It details how the Dragon Baby is the starting point, evolving based on elemental attributes into different dragon types. The chart shows Dragon Baby evolving into Thunder Dragon, Lightning, Red Dragon, Fire, Earth Dragon, Blue Dragon, Water, Platina Dragon, Holy, and Black Dragon, Darkness, each with further evolutions like Quetzalcoatl for Thunder Dragon and Flarebrass for Red Dragon. The page describes each dragon type, such as the Red Dragon using Fire Breath, and the Thunder Dragon using Thunder Breath. It also mentions the Earth Dragon's earth-based attacks, and the Blue Dragon's Cold Breath. Interestingly, a Golem character is also featured, described as a clay guardian god created by humans, with high defense against physical attacks and a pounding attack. The page generally introduces the dragon evolution mechanic and the characteristics of different dragon types in this game. This page is all about Mario Golf 64, detailing the different ways to play either by yourself or with up to 4 players. For a single player, you can enjoy tournament, character get, ring shot, speed golf, stroke, putter golf, and training modes. With 2 players, you can play stroke, match play, skins match, club slot, and putter golf. For 3 to 4 players, the options are stroke, skins match, club slot, and putter golf. The page highlights that there are 17 playable characters in total for Mario Golf 64, initially starting with 4, and you can unlock more through the character get mode. The character selection screen is shown, with Mario highlighted. There's a guide to the Nintendo 64 controller layout for the game, explaining the functions of the start button for menus, the 3D stick for shot direction and club selection, the Z trigger for shot power and map display, the R trigger to show the ball's landing point, the C button unit for setting up play, and the A button for taking a shot. The B button is used for changing shot types between normal, power, and approach shots. Finally, there's a section on basic golf terminology, explaining what a driver and an approach shot are, and also describing different types of putting like running shots, pitch shots, and putting on the green. This page is dedicated to Mario Golf 64, showcasing various game modes. It details modes like tournament, ring shot, match play, speed golf, stroke, skins match, training, putter golf, and club slot. Each mode's description includes its objective and gameplay style, accompanied by screenshots. For example, tournament mode is described as competing in 18 holes against various participants for the best score. Ring shot involves hitting the ball through rings. Match play is about competing hole by hole to get the most points. Speed golf is a race to finish 18 holes as quickly as possible. Stroke mode focuses on the overall score. Skins match is similar to match play, but points carry over if there are ties. Training mode is for practicing freely. Putter golf features courses designed with numbers and letters. Club slot adds an element of randomness by using a slot machine to determine the club. The bottom section introduces 4 playable characters available from the start: Charlie, Plum, Peach, and Baby Mario, giving a brief description of each character's ball trajectory, distance, and characteristics. It also mentions the character select mode, where you can acquire more characters by winning match play games. Peach is recommended as the easiest to use initially due to her straightforward ball control. The next page showcases the initial 6 playable characters in Mario Golf. It details each character's strengths and golfing style. Luigi is described as having a high draw shot and a 240-yard distance, specializing in power shots. Yoshi has a standard straight shot with a 230-yard distance, suitable for strategic play to reach the green in 3 hits. Wario uses a low fade and hits 250 yards, described as wild in appearance, but surprisingly precise in golf. Mario is presented with a high draw and a 270-yard distance, known for powerful draw shots and iron accuracy. Donkey Kong is said to have a 260-yard distance and a consistent, controlled play style. Finally, Charlie is mentioned with a 220-yard distance and a low fade, portrayed as a strategic player. Below the character introductions, the page asks, what kind of courses can you play on? It shows screenshots of different courses in Mario Golf, including Hi-Ho Desert, Teresa Valley, Yoshi Island, and Fruit to Puri Yoshi Island, highlighting the variety of environments available. The bottom section provides golf terminology basics, explaining terms like slice and hook shot, and also describes different types of golf clubs: driver, long iron, short iron, wedge, and approach. It also briefly explains out of bounds, OB, in golf. This page is all about Mario Golf 64. And presents 8 key points to perfect your shots in the game. The tips cover various aspects of gameplay, starting with understanding the situation, being aware of the ball's direction, and reading the wind's strength and direction. It also advises players to vary their shots. Always check the terrain, and consider power control in 2 parts, along with emphasizing the importance of shot position. Additionally, there is a section explaining basic golf terms like against wind, follow wind, and dog-leg course. This page is a strategy guide for the Canopio Land course in Mario Golf 64. It's titled Canopio Land Thorough Strategy Guide. The guide provides hole-by-hole tips from hole 1 to hole 18, showing overhead screenshots of each hole and giving advice on how to play each one. It mentions that Canopio Land is a course for beginners in Mario Golf 64, surrounded by greenery in a mountain setting, and while it looks easy, it's not so simple to strategize. The guide suggests using the tips provided to challenge the course. For each hole, it details the par, yardage, and provides specific advice on approach angles, club selection, and hazards to avoid, such as bunkers and water. It encourages players to think about their shots and aim for pars. The next page is a detailed strategy guide for the Noko Noko Park course in Mario Golf 64. It provides tips for all 18 holes, showing the PAR, yardage, and a small map of each hole. The guide offers advice on how to approach each hole, suggesting where to aim your shots and what to watch out for, like bunkers, water hazards, and green undulations. It emphasizes course management and reading the greens to improve your score on this particular course in Mario Golf 64. This page focuses on Bomberman 64, the second attack, known in Japan as Baku Bomberman 2 theory. It reveals numerous new system features for the game, highlighting that Guardian suits from the story mode can power up Bomberman. These suits come in parts helm, mail, arm, and boots, each granting unique abilities like remote-controlled bombs, shorter charging times, throw boosts, and kicking abilities respectively. The page also details upgrades to the basic game systems. Bombs now have elemental attributes of fire, water, wind, earth, and thunder. Story mode items give special bomb abilities. Remote control bombs, fire level, player life, and enemy character life are also enhanced. A new Space Merchant Ship Frontier Shop system is introduced, where players can purchase custom parts and hints using in-game currency collected in story mode. The page encourages players to collect money in story mode to prepare for shopping and enjoy the new features. The next page presents a preview for Bomberman Hero. It introduces 2 main characters: Lily, a female space pirate who became a Bomberman after being caught in a black hole, and Rook Fellis, the leader of the Black Hole Brigade, described as a fearsome enemy commander. The page then details the story mode's first world, Penal Planet Alcatraz. The story begins with Bomberman traveling to Bomberstar and finding a mysterious egg, which hatches into Pommy. Suddenly, Bomberman gets sucked into a black hole and ends up on Alcatraz, a prison planet. The goal is to escape this gloomy planet. Gameplay details are shown through screenshots. One section mentions that outside the prison is a sewer, and Bomberman needs to use his wits to navigate the water flow and find a path. Another screenshot highlights a trap in the sewer and a green button that needs to be pressed to proceed. It also mentions pipes in another room, releasing steam to blow away blocks. The page concludes by introducing the stage boss for Alcatraz, Hellfell, who uses fire and is a member of the BHB-7 Musketeers. Defeating Hellfell, who is engulfed in flames, requires solving puzzles and using bombs. This page is a game preview for Bomberman 64, The Second Attack. It details two of the game's worlds, Aquanet and Horizon. Aquanet is described as a world of water ruins, where the Bomberman and Pomu must destroy gravity generators. The stage boss for this world is Bephimos, the Ice Dominion ruler, a giant robot. Horizon, the wind's lamenting star, is described as an ancient floating city. The stage boss here is Astolat, the violent Storm King, a dragon-like creature. The page also introduces new battle system modes for multiplayer, including Battle Royale, where players compete to defeat rivals within a time limit, Time Attack, where players compete to collect 2 keys hidden in the map to steal keys from rivals, and Score Attack, where players defeat enemy characters and destroy blocks to collect money to be the winner. This page focuses on the game Last Legion UX and features a special interview with the renowned mecha designer Kunio Okawara. The page highlights that the game has reached its final stages of development and is presented as a permanent preservation edition. It's clearly positioned as a must-have title, with a big reveal on page 35. The game itself is described as a 3D robot battle action game published by Hudson, set for release on May 28 at a price of 6,800 yen. It requires 96 megabytes of memory, supports 1 to 2 players, and is compatible with the Rumble Pack for force feedback. The Japanese Nintendo 64 mech action game Last Legion UX features several unique stages as players progress toward the final battle. Stage 7, Bulwark, offers a floating island with complex buildings. Stage 8, Float Castle, presents a ruined castle with strategic high ground. Stage 9, Motor Site, is a mechanical site emphasizing close-quarters combat due to its flat layout. Stage 10, Deep Temple, is a maze-like area with limited visibility and challenging navigation. The final stage, Underground, is a flat arena with crystal-like materials and is a survival challenge. This page is a special interview with the renowned mecha designer Kunio Okawara. The interview discusses his work on the image illustration for Last Legion UX, which is featured on page 3. Okawara explains his design process, noting that it was his first time drawing mecha designed by someone else, which he found initially challenging due to needing source materials to grasp the forms. He also touches upon the differences between designing mecha for anime and games, mentioning that he doesn't usually work on game concept designs, as his work is mostly an extension of anime design. Okawara speaks about the appeal of mecha, emphasizing the importance of incorporating character-like elements into machines beyond mere industrial design. He also mentions his extensive work in anime, referencing series like Gundam, Time Bokan, and the Brave series, and elaborates on the wide range of his design work, from Yatterman to Dagaram and Votoms. He expresses that when creating designs, he strives to make something that resonates deeply within each work. Finally, when asked about Last Legion, Okawara humorously comments that he can't say much about it, and discusses the challenge of fully grasping the forms of the mecha. He also mentions that he prefers looking at catalogs and visual references for design inspiration rather than purely relying on imagination, especially when designing complex mechanical objects like bikes, and notes the increasing sophistication of bike designs in modern games. This page introduces J-League Perfect Striker 2002, provisional title, a soccer game and sequel in the J-League Perfect Striker series. It highlights the new Success Mode, where players join a J-League youth team with the aim of getting promoted to J1 League. The screenshots showcase in-game action, player stats, and training menus. The Success Mode allows players to create and train their own player, with features like developing player traits through training. It mentions different types of training, including goalkeeper training, and achieving good results in 3 major tournaments to get promoted. The game seems to focus on player development and career progression within the J-League system. The next page showcases the soccer game J-League Jikyu Perfect Striker 2, known internationally as International Superstar Soccer 2000. This sports game from Konami was slated for release on July 29th for 7,800 yen and supports 1 to 4 players with controller packs. The page highlights several key features, including the ability to play with both J1 and J2 league teams, offering a wide selection of clubs. You can also aim for international matches with the Japan national team and compete against other global teams. The game also allows for the creation of original clubs, customizing team names, flags, and uniforms. Furthermore, player creation is possible, allowing you to easily craft your own soccer stars, even modifying J-League players. New techniques have been added to the gameplay, promising an enhanced and exciting soccer experience. This page is a preview for the Nintendo 64 game Densha de Go 64. It mentions that the game is a collaboration with Hokuto and is based on the arcade game Densha de Go 2 Kusokuhin 3000 series. The N64 version boasts a large 256M capacity and will include the 3000 series lines from the arcade game. It's mentioned that there probably won't be original N64 routes or trains, but it will be a complete port of the 3000 series. The page also highlights a bonus game featuring the EF63 locomotives, a popular train type, and mentions it is a special bonus game. The screenshots showcase gameplay scenes of train driving, various user interface elements, and in-game screens. The game is described as a train driving game and is noted to be coming in the summer of 1999, with 256M of capacity. The next page is an introduction to the Nintendo 64 game Densha de Go. This page serves as a guide to playing the game effectively, breaking down essential gameplay elements for players. It starts by advising players to begin driving once the route and train are selected. When the signal turns green, release the brakes and start smoothly, remembering to sound the horn. It emphasizes checking signals and signs during operation, especially speed limits, and warns about the automatic train stop system activating if signals are ignored. The page highlights the importance of on-time performance, noting that arriving too early or too late will reduce your held time. Using the whistle and microphone are also key points, as making announcements like signal confirmation into the microphone earns bonus time. Braking operation is described as crucial, recommending smooth braking to stop accurately at stations. The game evaluates your performance in categories like timekeeping, stopping position, accuracy, and adherence to signals and signs, with an overall score given. Finally, the page expresses appreciation for train fans, suggesting the game's appeal spans generations and celebrates the joy of train driving simulation. It encourages players to enjoy the game and connect with their inner train enthusiast. This page is about the N64 game Neon Genesis Evangelion, a mission-based action title. It highlights several key aspects, including vibration pack support to enhance gameplay feedback and impressive voice acting within the game. The article emphasizes the developer's dedication to accurately recreating the movements of the Evangelions from the source material. Character dialogues between Misato, Asuka, and Shinji are shown, and the release date is confirmed as June 25th, priced at 8,800 yen. This page talks about stages in a game, mentioning the first 5 stages are Moment and Heart. It also showcases fan art of Evangelion characters like Asuka, Rei, and Misato. There's a section dedicated to Japan's most irresponsible EVA jargon collection 3, which discusses Evangelion game terms, referencing Jet Alone, and even Godzilla movies like Godzilla vs. Megalon and the robot Jet Jaguar. The page also encourages readers to submit fan art and announces that the next issue will feature an Evangelion poster, promoting it as a special item. This page showcases Turok: Rage Wars, marketed as Violence Killer Turok New Generation in Japan for the Nintendo 64. It's a survival shooting action game that really emphasizes its 4-player versus multiplayer modes. You can dive into deathmatch, team battle, and a unique flag battle mode. Flag battle sounds fun, where one player becomes the monkey and has to escape to a checkpoint, being chased by the other players. The page also points out the realistic enemy death animations, mentioning zombie deadmen and elite soldier enemies. The screenshots show off different aspects of the gameplay, including sniper scope headshots and intense battles. The next page focuses on walkthroughs for Turok: Dinosaur Hunter. World 11. Lydia's Lake tasks players with activating 2 defense signal machines, rescuing 4 girls, and sealing the Primogen energy totem from monsters. Completing all tasks is necessary to clear the level. World 12. River of Souls involves sending the deadmen to the depths of hell, destroying the gates of the dead, defeating D-Stars, and protecting the energy totem. Stegosaurs, that Turok can ride, appear in this stage, equipped with powerful twin cannons to defeat enemies and progress. World 13. Deadly Swamp requires rescuing 5 captured people, destroying medicine warehouses, and defending the energy totem from the Grim Death Guard. This world, controlled by the Pureland tribe, is filled with poisonous swamps, marshes. Players are warned to be cautious of sudden attacks, as walls can break and monsters might appear. Finally, the page highlights powerful Turok weapons. Firestorm Cannon, a Gatling-style machine gun that rains bullets like rain. Brain Blaster, implodes enemy brains, causing blood to splatter. Shredder, a laser gun that reflects off walls, effective in narrow spaces. Flamethrower, shoots flames that engulf enemies. The fire is described as beautiful. This page is a preview for Lode Runner 3D on the N64. It highlights the return of the classic puzzle game, originally released in 1983, now in 3D on the N64 console after 16 years. The game boasts over 100 stages and new traps. The text describes the simple yet addictive gameplay of the original Lode Runner, where players must collect gold and escape without getting caught by enemies. The article discusses why Lode Runner became a classic, emphasizing its puzzle elements and strategic depth despite simple rules. It mentions the game's popularity in Japan after its Famicom release in 1984, and its continued evolution with 2-player modes and level editors. The article suggests that this 3D version retains the core appeal of the original, while adding new elements like explosions and lifts to deepen the gameplay. The screenshots show the 3D environments and the classic Lode Runner character. The game information box lists the title as Lode Runner 3D, the publisher as Banpresto, a release date of July 30th, a price of 6,800 yen, a memory size of 64 MB, the genre as action puzzle, 1 player, and notes vibration pack compatibility. This page introduces items and enemy characters for the game Lode Runner 3D. It describes the gold nugget as a shining golden item that must be collected to clear the stage and escape the exit. It explains, destructible tiles can be destroyed by the protagonist, Roadrunner, using his blaster, and can bury enemies, but requires careful placement. The bomb is a new item in this iteration, set to explode after a few seconds, destroying a 3x3 area of destructible tiles, useful for creating lifts or trapping enemies. The monk enemy is introduced as instantly defeating Roadrunner upon contact, but can be defeated by dropping them into holes made in the destructible tiles, although they quickly respawn. The page also includes a Roadrunner beginner lecture section, offering gameplay advice for new players. It emphasizes that understanding how to dig holes is fundamental to mastering Lode Runner. It warns against haphazard digging, advising players to think carefully about block placement. It uses image examples to demonstrate how players can get stuck, and emphasizes the importance of taking one backstep when digging holes to ensure a path for escape, and to avoid getting trapped themselves. It also highlights the tactic of digging 2 blocks while backstepping, and the need for 1 block of space when digging a hole to avoid becoming trapped, crucial for gold collection even in difficult stages. This page features the game Hybrid Heaven. It's an RPG that combines action elements, set to be released for the N64. The page highlights the game's story, which is described as an opening mystery. We see screenshots depicting gameplay, showing the battle system where players engage in close-quarters combat, using punches and kicks. The game seems to focus on skill acquisition and level UPS, allowing players to improve their techniques and customize their fighting style. The screenshots also show the flow of combat, encountering enemies, initiating battle, attacking, and battle conclusion, with level UPS potentially occurring afterwards. The game was indeed released internationally as Hybrid Heaven. This page showcases NBA in the Zone 2 for the Nintendo 64. It highlights the game's strategic depth, focusing on offensive and defensive formations that players can customize. The page details how players can choose from a variety of preset formations for both offense and defense to match different game situations and opponent strategies. It also introduces a new 3-point shootout mode, explaining that players use the 3D stick to control their shots, and that up to 4 players can compete. Screenshots illustrate the formation selection screens and the fast-paced action of the 3-point shootout mode. This page is focused on the N64 game Shadowgate 64, Trials of the Four Towers. It details the game's story, which centers around Deal, a halfling adventurer, and the perilous Shadowgate Castle, known for its many victims. The article describes how Deal, traveling with a caravan, is attacked by bandits and ends up trapped in the dungeons of Shadowgate Castle. The gameplay is then highlighted, focusing on escaping the cold, trap-filled underground waterways of Shadowgate Castle, which are said to be full of dangers and oil spills. The escape leads to the surface and the town area where Warlock Road is situated, along with 4 prominent towers. The game is described as an adventure title for 1 player, and was scheduled for release in late September by Kemco, priced at 6,980 yen. The screenshots showcase environments within the game, including the underground waterways and outdoor areas. The next page introduces 64 Hanafuda, Tenshi no Yakusoku, 64 Flower Cards, Angel's Promise, a Hanafuda card game for the N64 developed by Ultron. This is stated as Altron's first N64 title, and a first for the console in this genre. The page highlights the game's free battle and story mode. Story mode focuses on an 18-year-old protagonist fulfilling a childhood promise, meeting various characters, and playing Hanafuda. The goal of the story is described as witnessing shooting stars together. 3 types of Hanafuda games are featured. Koi Koi, a 2-player game focused on making sets and continuing rounds. Hanawase, a 3-player game where players compete for the most points. And Oicho Kabu, a 2-player game between a dealer and a player, emphasizing numerical card combinations to reach a score of 9. The page emphasizes that Hanafuda is a deep game, where reading your opponent is key, and mentions that Koi Koi is particularly engaging. Screenshots illustrate the in-game interface and character interactions, showing dialogue during gameplay. The game is described as being enjoyable even for beginners, and highlighting the fun of the strategic depth in Hanafuda. This page is an advertisement for various strategy guidebooks published by Game Fan Books. These guides are for PlayStation games including A Train de Iku Z, Aim for the Continent Crossing, Neko Samurai, and Gakuen Toshi Osaka. Other guides advertised are for Falcom Classics 2, Doki Doki Pretty League, Passionate Maiden Youth Chronicle, Omasor Girl Detective Group, Ebarouge 2, and Gensu Suikoden. The advertisement provides the game titles, publisher information, book series, prices, and ISBN codes for each guide. This page is a special sticker sheet, Volume 34, featuring characters from Mario Golf 64, with Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, and Wario all depicted playing golf. There are also various Kirby characters showcased in sticker form. At the bottom of the page, there is a list of game titles which include Last Legion UX, Violence Killer, which is likely referring to Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, NBA in the Zone 2, and Zool. Maju Tsukai Densetsu. The text at the top exclaims, Mario and Kirby are back together again after a long time. This page is mostly blank, with just a very small amount of text on the right edge of the page, which mentions something about characters and a phrase that translates to, if you don't go, you can actually do it with characters too, but there's not enough context to understand what game or feature it's referring to on this page. This page is a From Letters section in the magazine, where readers have sent in their letters and illustrations. The main topic seems to be related to Golden Week Work Special. There's a section showcasing readers' illustrations, including Kirby art. One reader writes about wanting to play RPGs on the N64, and another shares a dream about the 64DD being released. There's also a quiz for readers to solve about animal sounds, and a discussion about magazine introductions on TV. Finally, there's an address section for sending letters to the magazine. The next page is from the Chiburu's analog chat column, and the topic is Game Separation, exploring why people might lose interest in games. It features letters from readers discussing this, including one from a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. The editors share their thoughts on this topic. Blastozer is highlighted as a best match game, and a screenshot is shown. The editors also mention playing Mario Golf in the office. Pre-orders for Pokemon Gold and Silver are mentioned. In the monthly Sugoika corner, Giant's Doshin is referenced. The page also includes sections for general questions and answers, and a love advice corner. This page is focused on the game Fire Emblem, Thracia 776. It seems to be a fan contribution section, where readers are sending in their predictions and fan art for the upcoming game. The page highlights Thracia 776 Prediction Grand Battle, discussing the game's setting around Fianna Village and the Thracia Peninsula, mentioning the possible appearance of characters from Genealogy of the Holy War, Saisen no Kifu, and the involvement of the Frege family. A new system section is mentioned, which seems to be related to a reaction mechanic, where actions can be performed multiple times within a turn, but overuse might lead to fatigue and unavailability in the next map. There's a Leaf Troop composition section featuring fan art and comments related to the game's characters. Finally, "This character is my favorite!" section indicates a character popularity poll is anticipated and encourages readers to share their favorite characters from the Fire Emblem series. This page is about various topics related to Nintendo 64 and other game content. The top section focuses on Reverse Zelda for the 64DD, with readers expressing their excitement to play it, suggesting it is likely The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time Master Quest. There are also reader-submitted illustrations of Zelda characters, like Sabia, Link, Twinrova, and Zelda. Below that are musical scores for popular children's themes. Oha Suta theme, Dango-san Kyudai, and Anpanman, presented as simple melodies, likely for Ocarina players. The bottom left section is about Pokemon Stadium 2, challenging players to defeat Mewtwo. It discusses special Pokemon like Surfing Pikachu, and hints at a new Pokemon related to the anime, to be revealed next month. The corner encourages players to share their successful battle strategies. The bottom right corner, titled That Robot Thing, discusses robot games, specifically Super Robot Wars. While hinting at a future title announcement, it asks readers about their favorite robots from series like Mazinger, Getter Robo, and Gundam. It mentions a staff member recently cleared Super Robot Wars F final chapter on PlayStation, and highlights popular robots from the series like Psybuster, Grungust, and Shin Getter 1. It also references Super Robot Wars Compact on WonderSwan, and using spirit commands like Heatblood and Inspiration in the game, humorously cautioning against shouting out attack names on public transport. The next page is about Jikyu Powerful Pro Baseball 6, also known as Power Pros outside of Japan, and it's running a contest to find the most null players. Null players are described as surprisingly weak despite being professional. The page encourages players to input passwords to see these weak players for themselves, and even submit their own creations. Example passwords for Tokyo Senshu Zero, players from Shangri-La, Ida, Raw Tribe, and Dive are provided. Moving on. The page details the Jikyu GI Stable 64Dream Derby event, a horse racing contest. Entry requires sending in a password for GI Stable on either N64 or Game Boy. The submission deadline is June 20th. Finally, the page touches on the Fan Club 2 section of the magazine, which has expanded to 3 pages. Reader submissions are being highlighted, and titles like Ogre Battle and Mother 3 are popular topics. A reader's letter about Mother 3 is mentioned as an example. The page ends with the address for sending postcards to the magazine and fan clubs. This page is a comic strip called Dream Runker, and this month's theme is Neon Genesis Evangelion. It features Nintendo characters in roles inspired by Evangelion. In the comic, Fox McCloud from Star Fox, acting like a commander, identifies a target as an apostle, similar to the angels in Evangelion. Mario and Luigi are present, observing something strange. A frog character wearing a nerve patch confirms readiness for launch. Fox orders launch preparations. Bowser is shown removing restraints, possibly from a mecha or Evangelion-like unit. Mario and Luigi comment on something strange face, but Luigi assures there's no problem. The dialogue also includes a line about 15 years, possibly as a humorous reference within the parody context. This page is a humorous manga strip featuring characters from the Star Fox and Super Mario universes. The comic opens with Bowser falling dramatically, followed by Fox and Peppy in a panic as their pilot has fainted and their robot is malfunctioning. The humor is highlighted by the revelation that Bowser is the robot in question and his subsequent rampage. Meanwhile, Mario and Luigi are presented in stark contrast, casually discussing dinner plans, seemingly unfazed by the unfolding chaos, with Mario mentioning an internal battery, implying they are part of the robot system or situation. The dialogue and imagery contain parodic references to Neon Genesis Evangelion, mentioning 5 Minutes of Hell and Third Neo Tokyo Destruction, suggesting a mecha theme within the comedic narrative. Below the main comic strip, there's a section dedicated to showcasing fan art illustrations submitted by readers, with each piece credited to the respective artist and their location. It's a lighthearted page using familiar gaming characters for comedic effect, and engaging with the magazine's readership through fan art. The article, Game Characters in Love? Research, investigates the possibility of loving video game characters, presenting contrasting perspectives. Case A features a woman deeply in love with Link from The Legend of Zelda, experiencing intense emotions and seeing their connection as real. Case B offers an opposing view, with a man dismissing the idea due to the character's lack of physicality, though he considers future possibilities with physical interaction. The core difference highlighted is the absence of a physical body in-game characters. The article suggests that while physical desire is absent, spiritual or emotional love is still possible. The conclusion questions whether this one-sided love, driven by the person, can be considered true love, and if spiritual love can surpass physical desire. The page also includes calls for research participation, seeking opinions, and game title suggestions. The next page is an index for the 64 Wonder Stadium issue of the magazine, and it lists the content of this special edition. It highlights articles for various games including Pokemon Stadium 2, Pokemon Gold and Silver, Pokemon Snap, GQ G1 Stable, and GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 6. The page number for each article is also displayed. This page is focused on Pokemon Stadium 2. It's promoting the game and highlights that all 151 Pokemon are usable. The page is titled Gym Leader Knockout Strategy Special and announces the appearance of the Elite Four and rival in the game. It mentions that if you defeat all of them, you'll get something great. The screenshots showcase gym leader battles and the Pokemon selection screen, indicating that you can choose from all 151 Pokemon to battle. The game's details are listed as title Pokemon Stadium 2, publisher Nintendo, release date on sale, price 5,800 yen, genre battle and picture book, player number 14, and notes 64 GB pack compatible. It encourages players to use their trained Pokemon in battles, and mentions that battles are starting this month. This page is a guide for Pokemon Stadium 2 focusing on how to conquer the Gym Leader's castle. It advises players on how to defeat the 8 Gym Leaders and Elite Four. The guide highlights key strategies for each Gym Leader, like using Water, Psychic, and Esper-type Pokemon against the Nibi Gym's Rock and Ground types. It also recommends using Electric types against the Hana Gym's Water types, and Ground types against the Kuchi Gym's Electric types. For the Tama Mushi Gym, which focuses on Grass types, Fire Pokemon are suggested. The page lists the Pokemon used by each Gym Leader and their trainers within their respective gyms, showcasing Pokemon like Onix, Starmie, Raichu, and Kusai Hana as key opponents. The guide encourages players to strategically choose their Pokemon types to overcome the Gym Leaders. The next page is focused on tips for using rental Pokemon in Pokemon Stadium. It highlights that rental Pokemon can be very useful if you are struggling to meet level or type requirements for Stadium Cups. The page then provides advice for 4 different gym challenges: Sekichiku Gym, which features poison types; Yamabuki Gym, which is psychic type focused; Gunaran Gym with various types; and Tokiwa Gym, where you face the strongest leader, Sakaki. For each gym, there's a short description of the challenge and suggested rental Pokemon to use against the trainers and the gym leader. For example, against the poison-type focused Sekichiku Gym, psychic types are recommended, and for the psychic-type Yamabuki Gym, bug types are suggested. Gunaran Gym has a variety of types, so a balanced team is recommended, and for the final Tokiwa Gym against Sakaki, Mewtwo is highlighted as a strong choice. The page lists several rental Pokemon options for each gym trainer and leader battle within these gyms, offering players guidance on building effective teams using the rental system. This guide offers strategies for efficiently leveling Pokemon in Pokemon Stadium 2, emphasizing balanced teams. It provides tips for battling the Elite Four against Kana, Ice, Psychic. Focus on Fire-type attacks against her Freezer. Shiba, Fighting, requires caution against his powerful moves, especially Swamular. And he also uses Water and Ground types. Kikuko, Ghost, uses Poison-type attacks, so defeat her Pokemon quickly, especially Gengar. Finally, Wataru, Dragon, and his Dragonite lineup, including Gyarados and Lizardon, require preemptive strikes due to their strength. This page is all about Pokemon Stadium 2. It starts by highlighting rival battles in the game, mentioning that the final rival uses a Rhydon, and to watch out for Pinsir. The rivals team also includes Exeggutor, Slowbro, Clefable, Electabuzz, and Ninetales. Next, the page reveals that by defeating all gym leaders in the Gym Leader Castle mode, you can receive 8 Pokemon as a reward. It also mentions that even Pokemon you couldn't catch in the Game Boy versions can be randomly obtained in Pokemon Stadium 2, with 1 random Pokemon available. The Pokemon listed as obtainable include Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander, Eevee, Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, Kabuto, and Omanikate. The page also excitedly announces the appearance of Mewtwo in Stadium mode if certain conditions are met, posing the challenge of defeating this powerful Pokemon. Finally, it reveals the Back Stadium feature, which appears after fulfilling even more conditions. This mode is linked to last year's Pokemon League from the original Pokemon Red and Green versions, and challenges players to prove their skills. A screenshot shows the Back Stadium menu, emphasizing the goal of collecting all the cups. This page is about the upcoming release of Pokemon Gold and Silver. It announces that Togepi will appear in these new games and features a new Pokédex design. The page also highlights the main character's backpack and inventory management system in the game. Screenshots show gameplay and introduce Pokemon like Clefairy and Farfetch'd. The next page is all about recommending the Nintendo 64 game Pokemon Snap. The article is titled, "Reasons Why We Absolutely Recommend It," and suggests that even if you haven't picked it up yet, it's still worth playing. The writer, Hisapuri Kikuchi, explains that some people might have avoided Pokemon Snap thinking it wasn't selling well, was being sold cheaply, or they were tired of Pokemon games, or assumed it was just for kids, and unclear what the gameplay was. However, the article strongly argues that these are wrong reasons to miss out, stating Pokemon Snap is truly fun and a great game, and encourages people to reconsider before dismissing it. The page also includes screenshots from different levels of the game. For the beach level, it mentions using Pikachu's Thunderbolt to capture a striking moment. For the tunnel level, it hints at using items on Electrode. In the volcano section, it encourages players to keep taking photos to capture cool moments. Finally, there's a section asking, "Have you seen the rainbow cloud?" which seems to be a hidden objective or secret in the game involving a switch at the end of a course, Professor Oak, and a phantom Pokemon, suggesting there's more to discover in Pokemon Snap. The final box asks, "Why is Pokemon Snap interesting?" possibly hinting at more details on the following page. This page from the magazine is showcasing the N64 game Pokemon Snap and highlights some interesting photography opportunities within the game. The page title, "Can You Take Pictures Like This?" is followed by examples of scenarios you can capture in different areas. For the river area, it suggests taking photos of 3 Poliwag emerging from the grass, highlighting the 4 Poliwag brothers, and asking what kind of scenery you could use as a background. In the cave section, it hints at helping a troubled Pikachu, which then leads to a Speed Star moment, implying a fast-paced action shot. The pond area features a scenario where helping a distressed Jigglypuff ultimately leads to a happy outcome if you bring it to the shore and play a song. It also mentions the rare sight of a Magikarp climbing a waterfall, suggesting this is a photo opportunity to look out for. The page also includes a section titled, "The Reason We Chose N64, which discusses the unique appeal of Pokemon Snap, noting its ability to capture the essence of Pokemon in a photo game format, drawing parallels to the sense of discovery and world exploration found in Zelda games. It emphasizes how the game allows players to experience a different kind of Pokemon interaction, moving beyond traditional battling and collecting, and instead focusing on observation and photography within the Pokemon world." This page is all about the N64 game GameCube Stable, a horse racing simulation game. It highlights that spring racing is in full swing, and that strong horses are essential to win in the game. The game is described as allowing you to understand the hard work of horse trainers and owners. There's a section called GI Stable Useful Special that seems to be giving players tips to improve their gameplay, focusing on analyzing data to secure victory. It mentions using data to understand horse abilities, distance suitability, and course strengths to help decide which jockeys to ask for each race. The game details box lists the title as GameCube Stable. The developer, as Konami, states it's currently on sale for 7,800 yen. The genre is Horse Racing Trainer SLG, simulation game. And it's for one player, with controller pack support. This page presents rider data for the N64 horse racing game GT Stallion, separating jockeys into Kanto and Kansai regions. For each jockey, their name, preferred racing style, bonus traits, conditions, and ratings in speed, spirit, stamina, and composure are listed. It's a detailed breakdown of jockey characteristics within the game, useful for players looking to strategize their races based on rider abilities. Pay attention to Robert and Perrier's appearance timings in the game. This page lists popular racehorses, presented in 2 lists on the left and right of the page, and a data table below, with details for a selection of recommended horses. The data includes horse names, coat color, breeding fees, distance suitability, growth type, speed, dash, winning attitude, temperament, turf track, heavy track, leg strength, and recovery, offering detailed performance stats for horse racing enthusiasts. The next page features data on breeding stallions, asking, which horse will be a good mother? It appears to be a reference within a horse racing or breeding simulation game context. The top section presents a list of horses, numbered 1 through 273. The bottom section highlights recommended breeding stallions selected by the editorial department. A table lists horse names like Ad Noble, Air Terminal, Ukifune, El Koshu, Kisono Hagoromo, Cutting Egg, Crimson Dancer, Grabia Queen, Dancing Skier, Pacific, Megami, Snow Wedding, El Actress, Silent Ballard, and Shoe Prime. The table provides details for each horse including coat color, breeding price, distance suitability, growth type, speed, dash, stamina, temperament, turf and heavy track performance, leg strength, and recovery. This page is dedicated to GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 6 on the N64, focusing on hidden players and the Home Run Derby mode. The page introduces the concept of secret players within the 12 baseball teams featured in the game, explaining how to unlock them in the Home Run Derby mode. It shows screenshots from the game and player profiles of some of these hidden players from different teams like Yokohama, Chunichi, Yomiuri Giants, Hiroshima, Hanshin, Seibu, Nipponham, Orix, Daiei, Kintetsu, and Lotte. The page also highlights a top 10 ranking for home run hitters, showing in-game stats and player names. It provides gameplay tips for hitting home runs, advising players to aim for the center of the ball and swing when feeling good. Game details are listed including the title as GameCube Powerful Pro Baseball 6, release date, price of 7,800 yen, genre as sports, player count as 12, and controller pack compatibility. The next page showcases Success's hidden power of players. It introduces 16 baseball players and their abilities. The page highlights player stats like hitting, pitching style, team, batting hand, fielding position, defense, sub-defense, meat, power, shoulder strength, running ability, defense ability, and error stats. The page features a pickup section spotlighting 16 players, suggesting they were created in success mode and would be valuable additions. It gives specific examples of players. Kumagai, highlighted for his block hollow circle ability and considered a reliable backup catcher. Doyama, described as having no special abilities but being solid. Gaito, noted for being a power hitter with a power rating of C. Kick. Kihon Moto, from Seibu with jersey number 1, possibly better than Sianfu Roko. Arai brothers, Jin and Kin, mentioned for their versatile defense, making them valuable. Yourself. Hirayama, described as having many negative abilities. Hido, the captain, presented as an example. Now, the 3 pitchers ability section indicates that from these 16 players, 3 pitchers are chosen to be highlighted. The page displays the in-game stats screens of 3 pitchers, showing their pitch types and abilities in detail. The page seems to be a preview or guide related to a baseball game likely on the N64, focusing on player selection and strategy using the success mode to create powerful baseball players. This page highlights 7 hidden baseball players in an N64 baseball game, likely for use within the game's team management or roster customization. It showcases details about each player, including their name, origin, jersey number, batting/throwing style, team, and various stats like contact, power, running ability, throwing strength, defense, and sub-defense. The players are Tsunakozima, Ayato, Kameda, Inoziri, Kacho, Shako, and Daikugetu. The page mentions special skills for each player, such as Versatile, Sayonara Man, Head Sliding for Tsunakozima, and Power, Strong Swing, Stability for Inoziri. There are also sections detailing 3 pitchers' abilities, showing different pitch types, speeds, and control levels, and a pickup section emphasizing the reliability of these 7 players, particularly Inoziri, who is described as excellent as both a fielder and a pitcher. The final part of the page discusses perfect batting and pitching, focusing on hitting home runs and pitching fastballs over 160 km per hour, showcasing in-game screenshots demonstrating these aspects. One screenshot mentions a 160 km per hour fastball from Daikugetu. This page is part of the Deathman's N64 classroom section, specifically Lesson 25, focusing on the mechanism of the N64's 3D stick. It explains that the 3D stick is an analog input, unlike a standard on/off switch button. It details how the stick works, using infrared sensors and rotating discs to detect subtle movements in X and Y axes, essentially functioning similarly to a mouse ball, but translated to stick movements. It mentions dissecting a controller to show the internal components of the 3D stick, including springs, gears, and infrared sensors. The page also touches upon internet connectivity with the 64DD, explaining that it would be similar to connecting to the internet via modem and phone lines with providers, mentioning monthly fees and data limits potentially being in place, and suggesting Nintendo might act as a middleman provider. It concludes by asking readers to send in their questions and thoughts to the Deathman's N64 Classroom. There are screenshots from a wrestling game that appears to be Virtual Pro Wrestling 64, showing a sumo wrestler character and in-game interface. This page features an article discussing the lawsuit culture in America, particularly in relation to Nintendo. It starts by mentioning a news story about a school shooting in America and the lawsuit filed by the victims' families against Nintendo, Sega, and Sony, claiming 15.6 billion yen in damages, blaming violent games. The article then digresses to discuss other lawsuits in America, such as frivolous lawsuits about hot coffee spills, and even cases where people sue because they got fat from eating snacks. The writer expresses bewilderment at this American lawsuit culture, finding it strange compared to Japanese sensibilities. It highlights that Nintendo, having faced criticism for violence and sexual content in games in America for 10 years, consistently adopted a self-regulatory stance, particularly concerning children's games. They point out that while Sega's version of Killer Instinct might have shown blood, Nintendo intentionally avoided blood in their games and focused on promoting games as safe toys for children. The article concludes by mentioning the author's pride as a Japanese person, highlighting the low crime rate in Japan and the lack of looting during the Great Hanshin earthquake as examples of Japanese societal values, but expresses concern that Japan might be starting to imitate the negative aspects of American culture. This page from 64Dream magazine showcases reader impressions on various N64 games. Reviews are featured for Top Gear Overdrive, described with the enthusiastic phrase, "full speed, full speed, full speed," and written by a reviewer from Ishikawa Prefecture. Hey You Pikachu is also reviewed, with the tagline, "As expected of Pikachu," penned by someone from Chiba Prefecture. Lastly, Harvest Moon 2 is summarized with heartwarming words in its review from a Chiba Prefecture-based player known as the 64 Master. The page also mentions that Pokemon Snap is being featured in a continuing series of articles within the magazine and encourages readers to submit their own game impressions for potential publication, offering a 2,000 yen toy voucher as a reward. It captures a glimpse of player opinions and excitement around these N64 titles back then. This Readers Forum section features letters and magazine responses on various Nintendo-related topics. One reader suggests Nintendo prioritize Pokemon events to appeal to younger audiences, while the magazine acknowledges Nintendo's cross-generational appeal. Another concerns game delays. The reader accepts them if they improve the final product, and the magazine relays this frustration. The reader praises Nintendo's quality over quantity approach to software development, echoing the magazine's agreement. Finally, a reader argues that Zelda is a gaming masterpiece that everyone should acknowledge. The magazine agrees, highlighting the importance of exposing younger audiences to excellent games like Zelda and expanding their appeal. This page is a reader forum section titled 64Dream Club. The left side features opinions on the N64 and its future, expressing concerns about the 64DD potentially marking the end of the N64 era, and suggesting that once the summer ends and the PlayStation's successor arrives, users might shift away from the N64 and start saving money for the new console. It mentions the appeal of ROM cartridges for gaming and expresses disappointment with the N64 version of Biohazard, Resident Evil, being just a port of Biohazard 2, criticizing the lack of original Biohazard content that fully utilizes the N64's capabilities. On the right side, readers have submitted various questions and comments. Some questions include asking why Nintendo's Game Boy software seems cheaper than competitors, if Nintendo plans to sponsor Formula One teams like Honda or Toyota, and if the release date for Sakura Wars is decided. There's also a suggestion for an unhappy character ranking feature, a question about whether editors only focus on big titles and ignore smaller games, and a humorous comment about game magazine editors grumbling too much. Other reader comments include a simple Yakult victory, a remark about buying a cutter, and a request for 64Dream to create regional editions with local event reporting. This page showcases a retro game gallery featuring Nintendo's Color TV Game Block Breaker from 1979, highlighting it as a nostalgic piece of gaming history. The article describes it as a simple block-breaking game with 6 variations, emphasizing its appeal despite its basic premise. It details different game modes including standard block breaking, a mode where blocks disappear in a line, a guarded racket mode for beginners, and time attack modes. The article also mentions that Shigeru Miyamoto designed the system's look right after joining Nintendo, making it a valuable item for fans. In a separate section titled, "This Month's I'll Buy This," the magazine recommends the Game Boy game Survival Kids. This game, scheduled for release by June 20th, is described as a survival adventure where the protagonist stranded on a deserted island must gather resources, craft tools, and fight off wild animals to survive, emphasizing the game's engaging gameplay and strategic depth reminiscent of early Zelda titles. This page presents the Autumn Akiba Price Survey Report from May 7th. Detailing game and hardware prices in Akihabara. It highlights that while prices generally are stable, Smash Bros. Remains popular and sells well. Pokémon Snap is mentioned as another popular title that may continue to sell well. The page includes lists of software with their prices and publishers, many of which are N64 games. Some notable N64 titles listed include Castlevania, Legacy of Darkness, F-Zero X, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, Mario Party, Mario Kart 64, and Super Smash Bros. The hardware prices are also listed, with the Nintendo 64 console priced at 11,000 yen. Additionally, there is a section promoting the Game Boy Gallery 3, and a present campaign where readers can win a Famicom ROM cassette of Zelda and other prizes by participating in a questionnaire. This page is a listing of Nintendo 64 games available on the Nintendo Power Service in Japan. It's organized by category and lists games with details like genre, memory capacity, SRAM, developer, and price. Some of the games mentioned include Super Mario 64, Super Donkey Kong Series, Super Metroid, Rockman 7, Zelda no Densetsu, Kirby Superstar, and many more. The list seems to cover a wide range of genres, from action and RPG to puzzle and sports games, all available through the Nintendo Power Service in Japan. It also mentions Super Famicom and Game Boy release calendar at the bottom, but the main focus is clearly the Nintendo 64 game list. This page is focused on the strongest software development support army for the N64 and features a large Maneki Neko, a beckoning cat figure. It highlights an interview about the development of 2 games, Mario Golf 64, known internationally as Mario Golf, and Densha de Go 64, which was only released in Japan. The interview is exploring the relationship between Maneki, Camelot, and Taito in producing these games, and how they managed to create big titles in a short time frame. Featured as the cast are various individuals from these companies, including a 64Dream exclusive model Tamasan, represented by the Maneki Neko itself, Honmoto Kohei, and Onizumi Masanori from Maneki Company Limited, Takahashi Hiroyuki and Takahashi Hideyuki from Camelot Company Limited, and Toyota Takumi and Nagata Miyu from Taito Company Limited, all seemingly involved in the software development and marketing process for the N64 platform. An emergency relay interview with Shofu, a key N64 software company, details their development support. The interview with Mitsutaka Motoshige and Masanori Onitsuka covers 3 patterns of Shofu's development support. From the N64's outset, Shofu aided games like Mario Golf 64 and Densha de Go 64. Their support included providing N64 development environments, handling advertising and sales, and assisting companies with technical or resource challenges. Shofu acted as an additional layer of support beyond Nintendo, helping smaller developers or taking over struggling projects. The interview suggests that Shofu helped ensure a broader range of software for the N64. An advertisement within the interview promotes Rockon, possibly a professional gaming product or service, and encourages software houses to contact Shofu for support. The logo, Monegi, is explained as being derived from money, plus give. This page is from an interview with representatives from Shofu, a company supporting N64 game development. They discuss their role in providing development tools like the Monegi Smart Pack, which allows for N64 software development on PCs, priced between 100,000 to 400,000 yen. The interview highlights Shofu's involvement in various N64 projects, including Mario Golf 64 and Densha de Go 64, which was also released internationally. They work closely with Nintendo and Camelot, the developers of Mario Golf 64. Shofu's expertise also extends to Game Boy development, and they mention working on games like Mario Golf GB and Bandai's P-Man Battle Collection, alongside other GB titles. The interview touches upon the surprisingly short N64 development time of just 56 months, which is attributed to Camelot's excellent development capabilities. Shofu's support encompasses providing development know-how, tools, assisting with scenario creation, and debugging, all in an effort to invigorate the N64 game market. Regarding copyright, it is mentioned that Nintendo handles it, and Shofu's name isn't prominently displayed on the games they support. The page also features a photograph described as the first public glimpse of Shofu's development room, showing a staff member working at a computer, with the details of their work remaining a secret. In a relay interview titled, N64's Trusted Helpers, Super Takahashi Brothers appear. Hiroyuki and Shugo Takahashi of Camelot Software Planning discuss the development of Mario Golf 64. Initially known for RPGs like Shining Force, they were approached by Nintendo's Mr. Miyamoto to create a golf game inspired by Everyone's Golf. Camelot's RPG expertise and efficient development capabilities led Nintendo to believe they could handle the project effectively. Despite initial hesitation, they created a 12-month prototype to learn the N64 hardware. They aimed to create a game that blended Camelot's style with Nintendo's platform. Nintendo provided development kits, boosting their motivation. The interview features screenshots of Mario playing golf, emphasizing accessibility and enjoyment for all players, with a full game introduction promised on page 24. In an interview discussing Mario Golf 64, the Takahashi brothers revealed their development choices. Initially, they opted for a golf game instead of an RPG due to the N64's challenging development environment and their prior success with Mina no Golf. They aimed for a complete golf game, leveraging their team's experience and the N64's limited game library. Initially, the game did not feature Mario, but Nintendo suggested his inclusion, which the team readily embraced. Development took approximately a year, attributed to their skilled team's technical prowess and dedication. The interview highlights the N64's appeal and its connectivity with the Game Boy, expressing enthusiasm for the hardware and Nintendo's game concept as a creative driver. This page is an interview section focusing on the Mario Golf series, specifically Mario Golf 64 and the upcoming Mario Golf GB for the Game Boy Color. The interview with Takahashi, likely a developer, discusses the design philosophy behind making games that can be enjoyed by families and solo players. He mentions that they aim to create games that can be enjoyed by families, similar to how Dragon Quest became a communication tool between parents and children. He highlights that they intentionally made Mario Golf 64 with a party game aspect and a fulfilling single-player mode, aiming to make it enjoyable even when playing alone. The interview touches upon the development of Mario Golf GB, which started around the same time as the N64 version. The GB version was intentionally designed to be different from the N64 version, offering unique gameplay even if players owned both. The GB version is described as being enjoyable even as a standalone game, emphasizing its pick-up-and-play nature, and it's mentioned that the RPG mode in the GB version will allow players to learn about the world of golf. The interviewer notes that the soft rendering of the terrain in Mario Golf 64 was only possible on the N64. The page also emphasizes that Mario Golf 64 and Mario Golf GB offer different ways to play and enjoy golf. This page is an interview with Takahashi Shugo and Takahashi Hiroyuki from Camelot Software Planning, discussing their development of Mario Golf 64. They talk about the challenges of developing for both N64 and Game Boy Color simultaneously, and ensuring the games felt distinct despite being linked. They mention that the N64 version utilizes a 64 megabytes cartridge and has high-quality graphics and sophisticated ball physics programming. They also discuss their design philosophy of creating games that are enjoyable for families, even for those who are new to gaming, emphasizing intuitive controls and gameplay. Looking ahead, Camelot announces their next project will be an RPG for the N64. The page also features screenshots from Mario Golf 64 and promotes Camelot's website, highlighting their past works and news. This page is a relay interview with Taito developers Toyota-san and Nagata-san, focusing on their N64 game, Train Go! Go! 64. They are discussing the game's appeal and development. Toyota-san, from the business marketing department, mentions the graphics are a highlight, improving on previous versions, especially the realistic scenery and train depictions. Nagata-san, from the CP business marketing department, adds that they are targeting a broader audience, including children with this version. They discuss the voice recognition system, highlighting that it adds a fun element and is aimed at a wider player base, including those who might not be hardcore gamers. They are also planning events at stores nationwide, possibly around October 10th Railway Day, and even considering events at train stations. There is a side panel announcing a voice recognition system bundle for Train Go! 64, stating that voice recognition is a key feature, and mentioning that microphones for voice input are included in the bundle. They are planning to release 3 types of packages, including a software-only version. A screenshot of the game is shown, displaying an E3 series train in a snowy environment, emphasizing the graphical detail. They mention that even Tamori, a famous TV personality, is a big fan of Train Go! The Hamadashi interview discusses Densha de Go! 64 for Nintendo 64, a train driving simulator. The game allows players to experience the role of a train conductor, incorporating voice recognition via a microphone, similar to Pikachu Genki. Dichu! Developers aimed for family-friendly gameplay, accessible to both train enthusiasts and novices. They prioritized intuitive controls to ensure enjoyment across all ages. The game was designed for a summer vacation release, intending to offer a fun, at-home entertainment experience. The interview highlights the surprising appeal of the game, even to those initially skeptical. Screenshots demonstrate gameplay, train controls, track views, and the integration of the Pikachu microphone for voice commands. This page is a Q&A section titled N64 Question Box from Volume 34 of the magazine. It features questions from readers and answers from Mr. Hanuma from Nintendo's Public Relations Department. The first question asks about the highlight of this year's E3. The answer points to software from Rare Limited, specifically mentioning Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini, and the already announced Donkey Kong 64. The second question is about upcoming games from Rare Limited, again referencing Perfect Dark and Jet Force Gemini, stating that they are waiting for the evaluation of the finalized software. The page includes screenshots from Rareware's website showcasing Donkey Kong 64 and Jet Force Gemini, and expresses anticipation for Rare's games to be released during the Christmas season. There's also a small comic strip and images related to Jet Force Gemini on the bottom right. Nintendo is partnering with Disney and Rare to release Mickey's Racing for Game Boy Color in late 1999, followed by Disney Racing for N64 in 2000, with more Disney titles planned for 2001. Nintendo's summer N64 lineup includes Mario Golf 64, released in June, aimed at adult players, and Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, in mid-July. Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, is expected to launch towards the end of July. Nintendo is publishing Ogre Battle 64 to boost sales and support the anticipated title, believing its involvement will help it reach a larger audience and achieve greater success. This page addresses various Nintendo 64-related topics. Regarding the Mario Open Golf Tournament, events for Mario Golf 64 are being considered, potentially including posters and demos, though budget constraints may limit large-scale events. A TV commercial for Mario Golf 64, featuring actor Mr. Isamu Ryuzaki, and a 15-second golf shot, is planned for broadcast around May 20th, targeting golf and sports programs. Nintendo is aiming for a year 2000 release for its next-generation console, utilizing DVD as the media format, with hardware and price announced, but official details pending. The software is being called Ultimate Game Software. Finally, the 64DD is delayed due to ongoing considerations of sales methods, unique services, and system details. They are exploring new ways to purchase 64DD software, which offers a variety of services, and showcases the box art. This Q&A section discusses upcoming Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color news. Regarding the N64, a new Zelda title is in development using the Ocarina of Time engine, with plans for a 64DD-linked Ura Zelda-style expansion and possibly a separate cartridge-based game. The Game Boy Color price drop aims to encourage monochrome Game Boy owners to upgrade. This is supported by new color-enhanced game releases. Nintendo expects 5 million units shipped by summer. Pokémon Gold and Silver has been delayed due to debugging, but is still slated for release before the summer holidays. Finally, The expansion RAM pack will be sold separately in Japan as the high-resolution pack for 2,800 yen, supporting games like Resident Evil 2 and others. This Nintendo Q&A discusses several topics regarding Pokémon Stadium 2 and Pokémon Gold and Silver. A direct link isn't established, but a future Pokémon Stadium Gold and Silver is hinted at. Possibility of a Game Boy Color port of Mother, Earthbound Beginnings, is explored, acknowledging hardware challenges but suggesting it's feasible. Jupiter, a Kyoto-based software house, is introduced as the developer behind various Picross games, including Mario's Picross and Pokémon Pinball. Finally, the price of the Nintendo Power rewritable cartridge service was adjusted, with initial prices dropping to 3,000 yen and new software set at 2,000 yen, with a rewrite service at 3,000 yen, likely to promote the service's first anniversary. This page is a question and answer section for readers. One question asks about Nintendo-sponsored TV shows. The response mentions the show's magical brain power, which became Kochikame, and 64 Mario Stadium, which increased its network presence, but not many other changes. Another question asks about recent TV appearances, and the answer mentions an interview for the Techno Tankentai program that aired on May 15th and featured the N64 controller. An image shows the inside of a circuit board, potentially related to the controller. Another question is about visiting Nintendo's headquarters. The response clarifies that while they don't offer factory tours, they sometimes accommodate study groups for office tours, depending on availability, and suggests sake breweries as an alternative for factory visits. The page also lists Nintendo-provided TV programs, including Kochikame, Sekai Maru Mie TV Tokusubu, Unnanan no Honu no Challenger, Gaku Iiku, Shiawase Kazoku Keikaku, GameWave, 64 Mario Stadium, Pocket Monsters, Pokemon, and OHA Suta Second Part, with their respective channels and broadcast times. Finally, there's an invitation for readers to submit N64-related questions to the magazine via post or FAX, with a Pikachu illustration present. This page is top news revealing a technology tie-up between Nintendo and Matsushita Electric, focusing on DVD technology for Nintendo's next-generation game machine, the successor to the N64, codenamed Dolphin. The announcement was made on May 12th at a hotel in Tokyo, with both companies expressing their mutual cooperation towards building a digital network society for the 21st century. The article highlights that the new hardware, Dolphin, aims for high-end graphics and digital network capabilities, set to launch around the end of the year 2000. Technical specifications for Dolphin are detailed, including an IBM custom processor, 400 MHz operating frequency, 0.18 micron semiconductor process, graphics co-developed with ArtX, DVD media from Matsushita, and fast DRAM memory. There's also a section discussing the current 64DD and its future, noting that 64DD's release was planned for the current year, with questions raised about its position alongside the new Dolphin console and the opinions of third-party developers. The page features an interview with Nintendo's president Yamauchi and Matsushita Electric's president Morishita, and an image showcasing the Dolphin logo and a concept diagram related to DVD technology. Nintendo showcased its future, codenamed Dolphin, and N64 games like Star Wars Episode 1 Racer at E3. The Endo Collection highlighted past products like Super Mario Game & Watch. Impressions from correspondents covered upcoming N64 titles, including Ultra Donkey Kong, praised for its graphics, and Perfect Dark. New, stackable 64 cartridge cases featuring Mario, Link, and Banjo-Kazooie were announced, priced at 300 yen, and set to be released in November 1996. The Legend of Zelda won a Game Observer Award, alongside Banjo-Kazooie, 1080-degree snowboarding, WCW NWO Revenge, and Pokemon. A Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, TV commercial, starring Kenji Haga debuted. Finally, a new brand, Genji, aimed at adult N64 gamers, was introduced, promoting independence and defying common sense. This page highlights a few news snippets and events, starting with a new product release, which is a Pikachu headphone set, a cute Pikachu design in the center of the cord with matching ear cups. It also comes with a Monster Ball-style carrying case. Moving to an event report of the Super Robot Spirit Tour 99 Spring Assault, held on April 29th, it featured singers like Ichiro Mizuki and Hironobu Kageyama, performing songs such as the theme from King of Braves Gao Gaigar. There's a news piece about the popularity of Pokemon cards in America, where some elementary schools are banning them due to their immense popularity. Another news item mentions the Game Boy Color is seeing strong sales worldwide, leading to a price drop from May 14th to 6,800 yen. Finally, there's a section titled Current Number Leisure White Paper 99, looking at trends in leisure activities, including game centers and home video games. This page highlights the Nintendo homepage featuring a special section called Smash Bros. Fist, dedicated to Super Smash Bros. On Nintendo 64. It mentions the game's ongoing popularity and includes details from a developer interview with Mr. Sakurai, encouraging players to explore the homepage to learn advanced techniques and master the game. The page shows screenshots from the Smash Bros. Section with links to character information, techniques, and operation manuals. There is also a comic strip called Chibi Chibi Great Adventure, featuring Link from the Zelda series. In the comic, Link drinks Lon Lon milk to restore health, and then faces a lizard enemy, ultimately resulting in defeat. In the monthly news scoop corner, the magazine introduces Amen Monster, a unique fruit candy, which is described as being sent in by a reader from Saga Prefecture. The candy comes in strawberry, lemon, and grape flavors, and the article questions if it is available nationwide, encouraging readers to send in more interesting candies. Finally, there is a tea break puzzle section featuring a word search. The puzzle instructs readers to find hidden Nintendo game characters within the grid of letters. After solving the word search, the remaining letters are meant to reveal another Nintendo game. This page previews the N64 game International Rally Championship 64. It highlights that the game features 9 real car types that players can drive. The page showcases several cars in the game, including the Nissan Almera, Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, Toyota Corolla WRC, Subaru Impreza WRC, Proton Wira, Hyundai Coupe EVO2, CT Cordoba WRC, and Skoda Octavia, along with one mystery car still to be revealed. Each car has a short description mentioning its real-world performance or characteristics that might be reflected in the game. The game is a rally game for 1 to 4 players and supports Rumble Pack and Controller Pack. It was scheduled for release on August 6th, priced at 6,800 yen. The next page showcases the game Rally 99, emphasizing its diverse gameplay and varied locations. It highlights that the game features 9 courses set in global locations like America, Spain, and Brazil, all boasting natural environments and different weather conditions, including night races. The courses are said to be packed with rally atmosphere, featuring spectators and local animals. The text points out night races have poor visibility, requiring drivers to pay attention to the on-screen navigation to master the course. The page details 4 game modes. Arcade mode, where players aim to clear set time limits on various courses and compete for rankings, culminating in topping the final course. Championship mode rewards points based on race performance across courses, with the ultimate goal of becoming champion. Practice mode allows players to freely select a course and adjust car settings for practice or time attack. Lastly, VS Race mode supports up to 4 players for competitive races, with screen splits depending on player count, encouraging battles against friends. This page announces the arrival of Zol, Legend of the Wizard, touted as the first proper RPG on the N64. Published by Imagineer and released on June 11th, the article introduces the game's concept, where you play as a wizard who befriends monsters to live in the world. As the protagonist Leo, you'll collect monsters, called Maju, of which there are around 160 types. Battles are strategic, where you issue commands to your monsters, and their individual attributes and personalities play a key role in combat. The screenshots showcase various aspects of the game, including exploration, battle scenes, and menu interfaces, and highlight the monster collecting aspect. This page is focused on a monster-raising role-playing game for the N64, where you aim to become a full-fledged monster user. The main character is Leo, a young boy from the Children's House orphanage, who discovers a newborn monster larva in the forest and names it Bernie. To feed Bernie, Leo takes on part-time jobs, but they soon become the target of monster collectors Matt, Mitt, and their boss Roche, who are villains seeking rare monsters like Bernie. This pursuit forces Leo and Bernie to embark on a journey. We are introduced to other characters including Carolyn, the mother figure at the Children's House, Shutsu, the leader of the Children's House, and Joyce, whose actions involving Bernie trigger Leo's journey. Also mentioned are the wise monster beast Sage, who knows everything about monsters, and a bar owner who gives Leo his first job. The game seems to center around raising monsters, battling, and character progression to become a skilled monster user. The game title isn't explicitly stated on the page, and it might be a game exclusively released in Japan. This page is a preview for the N64 RPG Telltale Monsters, a game exclusive to Japan. The game is set in Celtland, a land blessed by spirits, where humans and spirits lived in harmony. The main character is Jang Jak Makarok, a young apprentice wizard on a journey to find his missing father. The story kicks off when the Book of Eteru, a secret treasure of the Spirit Shrine, is stolen, threatening the peace and balance of Celtland. The page showcases 3 key locations: Stonia, a city with the Melroad Spirit Shrine; Angulus, the wealthiest nation ruled by Queen Diana; and Velagoon, a nation of swords ruled by King Geese. The screenshots depict these locations, and the main character, Jang Jak. The game is described as an RPG, where you'll control spirits and use magic. The release date is listed as July 9th, with a price of 6,800 yen. The next page is about Mystical Ninja 2 starring Goemon. The page describes the story, which involves the main character, Junjaku, a 10-year-old boy, setting out on a journey to find his missing father and the stolen Book of Ether. It mentions that a month has passed since his father disappeared. The townspeople speak of increasing monster appearances in the streets and forests. The page then details the battle system in the game, explaining that battles occur when you encounter monsters in the field. The battle area is a large circle around the player, and within this area, magic and items can be used. Movement is free within this area, allowing escape from battles. The main character's attack is magic-based. The page also highlights the direct hit-and-miss aspects of attacks, advising players to face the enemy directly when attacking, and noting that further details of the attack system will be explained in the next issue. This page from the magazine focuses on Super Famicom game information. First up is Picross NP Volume 2, a puzzle game in the Picross series. This volume's character theme is Yoshi, following on from Volume 1, which had Pokemon characters. They are offering presents, and the puzzles are similar in style to previous Picross games. It was scheduled for release on June 1st. Next is Kirby's Kira Kira Kids, also a puzzle game. This title was originally announced as a Nintendo Power release, but it's being released as a ROM cartridge. The game system is the same companion block style as previous titles, and is described as easy to play. It is also noted that the Game Boy version is fun, but the Super Famicom version has a wider game screen and is good for versus play. This was planned for release on June 18th. Finally, there is Okaki Logic, a puzzle game from the popular puzzle magazine. It is coming to the Nintendo Power System, this version. This version is different from the magazine version, and features pencil and eraser functionalities. There are a massive 150 puzzles, split into beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels, with 90 puzzles total. Clearing all these unlocks super advanced special levels with an additional 60 puzzles. This was also slated for release on June 1st. This page is an advertisement for Wizardry I-2 and 2I, Story of Lilgamen, on the Super Famicom, released via Nintendo Power cartridge. It highlights that this compilation brings together the first 3 Wizardry scenarios onto one cartridge. The game is described as a classic RPG that shaped the genre since its 1980 Apple II debut, influencing later computer RPGs alongside Ultima. The page details several game aspects. Character creation allows you to build a party of 6 from various classes and customize their stats with dice rolls, a core element of the series. Items are found on the map and held by monsters, including powerful items like Muramasa Blade and Garubo Robe. The monster graphics have been completely redrawn for this release, with over 300 monster designs by Mr. Suamasu, familiar from previous Wizardry games. For old fans, there's an option to display dungeons in a wireframe mode, reminiscent of the older games. The article also emphasizes Wizardry's historical importance, tracing its roots back to tabletop RPGs like Dungeons & Dragons in the 1970s, highlighting it as a foundational RPG experience that players should try. Screenshots showcase dungeon exploration, character status screens, and monster encounters, capturing the essence of this classic dungeon crawler RPG. This page features 4 Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. First is Choro Q, Hyper Customable GB, a customizable racing game where you can race and modify Koro Q, Penny Racer, cars. The game celebrates the 20th anniversary of Koro Q. Screenshots show gameplay and customization options. Next is Sango Kushi Game Boy version 2, a strategy game seemingly related to the Romance of the Three Kingdoms series. It boasts 350 officers, diplomacy, and military strategies. Screenshots show in-game menus and battle scenes. Then there is Golf Daisuke, a 3D viewpoint golf game where you can play as various characters against the CPU. It features 50 club sets and supports link cable play 4 versus matches. Screenshots show a 3D golf course and character selection screens. Finally, Kanji Boy, an educational kanji learning game endorsed by the Japan Kanji Aptitude Testing Foundation. It's designed for elementary school students and includes puzzle game elements for enjoyable learning. Screenshots display kanji learning exercises and minigame modes. This page highlights 4 games for the Game Boy Color. First up is Burai Senshi Color, a scrolling shoot-'em-up where you play as a space soldier trainee named John Smith. It's all about 8 directional attacks and destroying stages. You can grab items to help you out, and there's even a 2-player versus mode if you link up with a cable. Next, we see Pocket Family 2, a family simulation game, the sequel to Pocket Family. This one lets you raise a family of 4, focusing on communication and family bonds. There are minigames and story elements, with characters that grow and change as you play. Then there's Cardcaptor Sakura, Always Together with Sakura-chan, an adventure game based on the super popular anime. You're collecting cloud cards scattered around, just like in the show. The game even syncs to real-world time, making it feel like you're right there with Sakura. Finally, we have Medarot 2, available in Kabuto and Kuwagata versions. This is an RPG with a revamped battle system that now includes an auto-battle mode. The big new feature is Metaforce, a special move you unleash by building up a gauge. It looks like you can use a bunch of different attack types, and Metaforce seems to be a powerful finishing move. The next page unveils the initial character personal data for Fire Emblem Thracia 776 on the Super Famicom. This preview highlights the status screen and points out that new stats have been added, making the strategy elements even deeper. It showcases the fatigue screen as a key element, where character fatigue is tracked and explained to affect gameplay, especially in consecutive battles across maps. The page breaks down different status parameters, like affiliation, command, action, accompany, movement, fatigue, and status, detailing their impact on unit performance and strategy. This page is a preview of the upcoming Fire Emblem game, introducing new gameplay systems being implemented. These include the reaction system, where certain characters can act twice in a turn, item exchange between allied units, and the ability to steal items from enemies using thief units. The page highlights the character relationships, showcasing characters like Finn, Leaf, Nana, Corinne, Fergus, and others, hinting at their connections. The article explains that the game's story is set in the same world as Fire Emblem, Genealogy of the Holy War, taking place before Chapter 7 of that game's narrative, establishing a link between the 2 titles. Soreyuke, Mario Shinetai, showcases fan illustrations. The page, likely updated after Golden Week, features an Illustrations Special Hall of Fame. The humorous opening message encourages submissions with references to graduation exams and entering Dugu School. The Hall of Fame includes diverse artwork: Mario golfing, a woman with a Mario fan referencing Getter Robo, a robot-like character from F-Zero X, a blue-haired character from Ogre Battle 3, a masked character referencing Tengai Makio, a Mew and Mario cosplay, Mario as a DJ, a girl with a doll referencing Ogre Battle 3, and a group of Nintendo characters from Super Smash Bros. These illustrations are accompanied by brief descriptions, artist names, and locations. This page showcases reader submissions under the theme Pokémon 3rd Anniversary. It features fan art illustrations divided into sections. The top section is titled This Month's Theme, Pokémon 3rd Anniversary. It includes reader-submitted Pokémon illustrations with captions and comments. The first illustration features Ash and Pikachu, and the caption mentions Pokémon Zelda. Another illustration shows various Pokémon characters. There's a comment about party balance, and another about Pokémon Gold and Silver with new Pokémon appearing. One comment is Pikachu's voice, and another talks about drawing illustrations. The illustrations are from readers in different prefectures of Japan. The bottom section is titled Illust Fan Letter and Illust 10 years old or younger. These sections contain handwritten fan letters with illustrations. One letter is addressed to Hiroma-chan and talks about the game Mother 2. Another letter praises Mayo-san's illustration. The younger children's illustrations feature Pokemon like Jigglypuff and Yoshi-like characters. The fan letters express excitement for games and enjoyment of drawing. This page is a collection of fan-submitted illustrations themed around video games. There's a drawing celebrating the announcement of Bio 2, which is Resident Evil 2, showing many characters from the game. Another illustration depicts a rather alluring Princess Zelda, described as looking aloof. Alice from Fire Emblem is also drawn in a slightly sexy style, according to the contributor. A unique Japanese-style Kirby illustration is presented, likened to Japanese sweets. Prince Yumil, from Ogre Battle 64. Person of lordly caliber is featured with flowers and a mantle, with the artist wondering if the background flowers are well received. A Super Smash Bros. Inspired image shows a character select screen parody, questioned if Dollmaster is a fitting description for it. There is a heartwarming piece about a sister who usually doesn't play games, becoming engrossed in Bokujo Monogatari, known internationally as Story of Seasons or Harvest Moon. Finally, another Kirby illustration on a mailbox has background drawings of Super Smash Bros. Characters, with a note to pay attention to Kirby's hand. This page features humorous Nintendo 64 content, primarily reader submissions. The site opens with 3 4-panel comics. Fox's Prank shows Fox tricking Link. Link vs. Ganondorf depicts a comical battle, and It's ITJI Day stars Mario as a superhero. Below the comics, Cool Guys showcases reader illustrations. Link with a humorous beard, Pikachu wearing a mask, and a creature inspired by a magic. The Gathering card. The page concludes with lists of names, possibly contributors, or participants in a community ranking system. An illustration submission call asks for character art, fan art, and color manga, offering prizes and providing submission instructions to the 64Dream editorial department. This page is dedicated to GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 6, a baseball game for the N64, revealing its dream technique strategies. The focus is on unlocking hidden players within the home run race mode. The page details how to unlock hidden players from all 12 teams by playing the home run race with a single player and hitting 10 home runs, which will then reveal a password. It also describes unlocking hidden success mode players in 2 parts. For the first part, playing the home run race with 3 players and hitting 9 home runs will display a password. For the second part, playing in a dome stadium with 3 players and hitting 7 home runs unlocks even more hidden players. The article mentions there are 35 hidden players in total and directs readers to pages 7,274 for detailed information on their abilities. Screenshots from the game and ranking tables are also featured on the page. The next page focuses on GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 6 for the N64 and reveals several dream techniques or hidden features. The first section shows how to unlock all 6 universities in success mode from the beginning, using a button input command at the university selection screen. The second section explains how to erase the SRAM data within the cartridge, providing a button input command to execute on controller port 2. The third section details a method to make local baseball stadiums selectable in the game by entering a command on the mode select screen. The fourth section explains how to view the abilities of pro players within success mode, using a specific button command within the success menu to access the player data screen. Lastly, the bottom section describes how to view the home run derby from various angles, showing different camera perspectives that can be accessed by pressing specific buttons during the mode. This page is all about hidden secrets and enjoyment for 2 N64 games. Firstly, for 64, or the Game of Life 64, it reveals cheat names to input at the character selection screen to alter gameplay. Entering names like Chirenji, Kyabuten, Takara 64, Microman, Rikachan, Pierre, and Choco Q64 will change starting stats, money, and other parameters, ranging from random money changes, setting all stats to 1, 999, 500, or 10, or setting stats and money to either high or low values or random stats between 1 and 100. Secondly, for 2, or Super Space Knight Pro Baseball King 2, it details 3 hidden elements. One secret is to unlock a hidden team, the Golden Silver 2 team, for use in open matches after winning 135 games in pennant mode. Another secret involves unlocking all scenarios by pressing the Z button at the team selection screen. The final secret is to increase the number of balls, achievable by raising pitcher training levels in training mode, with level 4 granting 10 balls and level 5 or higher offering even more. The Dream Technique Dojo Guide offers tips for several Nintendo 64 games. In The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, it details mounted archery practice. For Hyperspace Nighter King 2, glove customization is the focus. Top Gear Overdrive players can earn Nitro by hitting throw signals and finishing in the top 5. 2 tips are given for Super Smash Bros. One explaining how to move while charging Samus's blaster, and the other how Kirby can throw a boomerang through walls. The guide also solicits reader submissions of dream techniques, with prizes offered. Finally, it includes instructions on how to write postcards, revealing a hidden character in Mario Golf 64 that unlocks a simulation RPG mode. This article previews several upcoming N64 games. RPGs include Mother 3 tentative title for the 64DD featuring Poké's Return, Super Mario RPG 2 tentative title, aiming for a fresh 3D-like look, L-Teal Monsters from Imagineer releasing July 9, 1999, about a magician seeking revenge, Zool, Legend of the Beastmaster, an Imagineer RPG launching June 11, 1999, Hybrid Heaven from Konami with a sample ROM and an August 5, 1999 release, and Robot Pankatsu 64 tentative title from Hudson. Action games showcased are Ultra Donkey Kong, tentative title, a full 3D title from Nintendo, Conker's Quest, tentative title, from Rare and Nintendo, with story and 4-player battles, and Kirby 64, tentative title, a party game focused on minigames. This software catalog previews upcoming N64 games, highlighting both action and adventure titles. Action games include Nintendo's Super Mario 64 2 and Zelda no Densetsu DD, potentially for 64DD, Koei's Winback, Taito's Superman, Hudson's Bomberman 2 and Last Legion UX, Bandai's Gainax, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Ubisoft's Tonic Trouble, and Culture Brain's Fighting Dragon Stadium Real Version. Adventure titles feature Capcom's Resident Evil 2 port, Kemco's Shadowgate 64, and Hudson's Kindaichi Case Files. Many titles are tentative and expected to be further revealed at events like E3. This page previews upcoming Nintendo 64 games. SimCity 64, a city-building simulation, and Animal Crossing, tentatively Cabbage, a creature-raising game, are showcased. Ogre Battle 3. Person of Lordly Caliber, a strategy game, is due in July. Macross VFX 2, a flight simulator, has uncertain release status. Strategy games include 64 Wars, linked with Game Boy Wars 2, and PD Ultraman Battle Collection 64, featuring Monster Collection with Game Boy connectivity. Other titles include a possible Harrier 2001 flight simulator, Lode Runner 3D, a puzzle game releasing in July, and Nintama Rantaru Challenge Puzzle 64, a puzzle game featuring N64 characters. Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, a shooting game, and Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, a violent survival shooter, are also highlighted. Finally, Mario Golf is presented as an accessible golf game. Upcoming N64 games include a variety of genres. Mario Golf by Nintendo has limited information despite being announced years prior. Konami's NBA in the Zone 2 offers strategic offensive choices, while JICU J-League Perfect Striker 2 features J1/J2 teams and a Japan national team mode. Asmic Ace Entertainment presents Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, commemorating Giant Baba's retirement. Culture Brain has Ultra Baseball Real Name version 64, with special moves. Altron's 64 flower arrangement, Angel's Promise, is the first flower arrangement game on the N64. Culture Brain also has Pro Shogi Strong Jin, with professional shogi players and a tutoring mode. Rev Limit by Sigsta is a racing game with detailed European scenery. Coconut Japan Entertainment is releasing Wipeout 64, a hovercraft racing game. Nintendo has F-Zero XDD, with potential online features, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, a pod racer game. Lastly, Imagineer presents International Rally Championship 64, with rally cars from various manufacturers. The Hanamaru Scoop section previews upcoming N64 games. Nintendo is developing 4 Mario Artist titles: Picture Maker, a painting program; Polygon Maker for creating 3D art; Talent Maker, allowing character creation from video and images; and Sound Maker, a music creation program. These titles share data. Taito's Go By Train 64 recreates an arcade experience, but lacks original content. Sammy is developing Jissen Pachislo Hishuhao, a Pacha-slot simulator. Saru Brunei, Marigold Project, is working on Animal Banchao and Kyojin no Doshin 1, a giant-themed game on Baruto Island where player choices impact the world. Additionally, the page defines E3, Electronic Entertainment Expo, and introduces basic video game terminology, explaining abbreviations and concepts like CG. Capcom's fan club page previews the Nintendo 64 port of Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2. Akihama-san addresses user concerns, explaining the game's large capacity is necessary for a complete experience. Capcom is working diligently to overcome the N64's limitations, including the 2-disc capacity, and promises the opening CG movie and potentially even cleaner graphics than the PlayStation version through N64 optimization. While details on the alpha version remain confidential, the possibility of the original Biohazard on N64 is neither confirmed nor denied. Capcom aims to enhance the N64 version with original elements, going beyond a simple port. The page also mentions a Biohazard 2 drama album and a Chiki Chiki Hagaki ranking, showcasing the game's popularity. This page is an advertisement for a Reader Prize giveaway. Featured prizes include a Nintendo 64 console, a gold Nintendo 64, and a Game Boy Color. There are also various accessories like controllers, a Pokemon watch, Pokemon Snap stickers, Pikachu headphones, and a SFC and N64 cleaner. Other prizes include signed illustrations and posters related to Gundam, Poochie Carrot, and Cardcaptor Sakura. The competition deadline is June 20th, 1999. And the winners will be announced in the September issue of 64Dream magazine. A gaming magazine reader survey solicits feedback on the current issue's cover and articles, asking readers to select their best and worst articles. The survey focuses on Nintendo 64 ownership, inquiring about purchase details and anticipated games from a provided list. Readers are also prompted to share their experiences with 2 N64 games. The issue's content includes reviews of games such as Resident Evil 2, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, and articles on Pokemon. Upcoming games like Donkey Kong 64, F-Zero X, Kirby 64, and Star Wars Rogue Squadron are listed. The magazine also announces contest winners and features reader comments, including anecdotes about specific game experiences. The August issue of 64Dream magazine, releasing June 21st, features E3 game show coverage, focusing on Donkey Kong 64 and Perfect Dark, along with anticipated titles EVA and Ogre Battle 64. The Editor's Voice section covers reader feedback, favorite TV shows and anime, reflections on work experiences, a hockey game review, discussions about rumors and ghost experiences, and a concert trip to Osaka. One editor discusses a need for improvement as they begin their second year. The issue promises exciting, but rushed, E3 coverage, especially from Nintendo and Matsushita. The Staff section lists the magazine's team. Previous issue prize winners are also listed, along with a small Mario comic strip. This page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game Pokemon Stadium 2. It showcases reactions of a woman and children playing the game, emphasizing the excitement and emotions it evokes. The advert highlights cute Pokemon characters like Squirtle and powerful ones like Mewtwo. Gameplay screenshots display battles, and text bubbles express reactions such as being shocked by defeat, surprised by Mewtwo, and commenting on weak strategies. The advertisement mentions that all 151 Pokemon from the first generation are featured in the game, and the suggested retail price is 5,800 yen excluding tax. This page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game 64, which translates to the Game of Life 64. It emphasizes that using the 3D stick to spin the roulette makes the game exciting. A key selling point is that up to 4 players can enjoy the game with just one controller. The advert also mentions the Game Boy Color version of quote, and notes it's scheduled for release in late April. Other games briefly mentioned on the page include a debut of Biohazard, Resident Evil, on N64, and Pokemon Stadium 2.